The murder of Bianca Devins. When a crime never stays offline. In July 2019, a violent crime didn't just happen in the real world. It unfolded online. Before police could secure the scene, before a family was notified, before facts were confirmed or context understood. Images and messages spread across the internet. Millions of people encountered fragments of a tragedy they were never meant to witness. Some stumbled upon it by accident. Others were sent links without warning. Many didn't understand what they were seeing until it was too late. This was not just a crime. It was a moment that exposed how quickly violence can be transformed into digital content and how slowly empathy can catch up. This is the murder of Bianca Devins, a case that forced the world to confront how obsession, entitlement, and online culture can collide with devastating consequences. Bianca Devins was 17 years old. She lived in Utica, New York, and was known among friends as creative, expressive, and warm. She loved music, art, anime, and online communities where she felt seen and understood. Like many teenagers, she navigated her identity both offline and online, forming friendships in digital spaces that felt meaningful and real. Bianca had a vibrant personality. She laughed easily. She cared deeply. She connected intensely with the people around her. She was not a headline. She was not a symbol. She was a teenager trying to understand herself in a world that constantly demands clarity from people who are still growing. That humanity matters, and it must come first. Bianca had a relationship with Brandon Andrew Clark, a man several years older than her. Understanding this relationship requires precision and care, because much of the tragedy stems from a fundamental mismatch in perception. Bianca did not consider the relationship romantic. Clark believed it was, or desperately wanted it to be. This imbalance mattered. To Bianca, the relationship was casual, friendly, and non-exclusive. To Clark, it became something else entirely, a source of emotional dependence, validation, and imagined commitment. Friends later described Clark as emotionally dependent, deeply affected by rejection, possessive, struggling with emotional regulation. Bianca had made it clear that she wanted distance. She asserted her autonomy. She expressed her boundaries. Those boundaries were not respected. In the aftermath of Bianca's death, experts in relationship safety and psychology pointed to warning signs that are now frequently discussed in educational settings. These include one-sided emotional dependency, fixation on rejection, viewing another person as emotional ownership, escalation after perceived loss or humiliation. The danger of these behaviors is that they rarely appear violent at first. They often masquerade as intense affection, devotion, emotional vulnerability, desperation framed as love. In a culture that romanticizes obsession and persistence, these red flags are sometimes dismissed or misunderstood. But when entitlement replaces empathy and control replaces connection, the outcome can be catastrophic. Unchecked obsession can become lethal. On July 14, 2019, Bianca attended a concert with Clark. They spent time together afterward and eventually went to a nearby park. What happened there ended Bianca's life. Details of the crime itself are intentionally handled without graphic description, out of respect for Bianca, her family, and those affected by the case. The specific mechanics are not what define this story. What matters most is this. Bianca trusted someone who could not accept her autonomy. Her refusal to conform to Clark's expectations was interpreted not as a boundary, but as a betrayal. After the murder, Clark posted images and messages online. He used platforms including Instagram and Discord to share content related to the crime. The speed was shocking. Before law enforcement could contain the situation, before platforms could intervene, before families were notified, the content spread. It was shared, reposted, archived, screenshotted. This marked a deeply disturbing moment in digital history, a violent crime becoming viral content. People encountered the material unexpectedly. Minors saw it. Viewers around the world were traumatized. The internet became a second crime scene. What followed revealed severe weaknesses in online systems. Platforms struggled to detect and remove harmful content quickly, prevent re-uploads across accounts, control algorithmic amplification. Some users shared the material without understanding what it was. Others sought it out deliberately. Some turned it into memes, jokes, or morbid curiosity. In doing so, the harm multiplied. Bianca's death did not end with the crime. It echoed endlessly across screens. Law enforcement located Clark within hours near the scene. He was taken into custody without incident. Investigators quickly gathered physical evidence, eyewitness accounts, extensive digital records, including posts made after the crime. From a legal perspective, the case itself was not complex. The evidence was overwhelming. The emotional and cultural aftermath, however, was unprecedented. Clark was charged with second-degree murder. In 2022, he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. The court acknowledged the deliberate nature of the crime, the role online behavior played before and after, the profound harm inflicted not only on Bianca's family, but on the public. Justice, in a legal sense, was served, but no sentence could undo the damage. No ruling could erase what millions had already seen. Bianca's death forced a difficult reckoning. It exposed how quickly violence can be commodified, how desensitization spreads online, how algorithms prioritize engagement over harm prevention. It also exposed something deeper and more uncomfortable, a culture that sometimes treats tragedy as content instead of human loss. The case raised urgent questions. What responsibility do platforms have? What responsibility do users have? Where does curiosity cross into exploitation? In the years since, Bianca's case has been used to educate and warn. It is referenced in discussions about online safety awareness, the dangers of parasocial obsession, boundary respect in relationships, ethical sharing and digital empathy. Her family has repeatedly asked the public, do not share images, do not repeat harm, do not let her death become entertainment. These requests are not about censorship. They are about dignity. Bianca Devins is remembered not for how she died, but for who she was, a teenager with creativity, with friendships, with curiosity, with a future that mattered. Her story reminds us that violence doesn't end at the crime scene. The internet can either protect or exploit, and responsibility belongs to all of us. Bianca Devins was not content. She was not a spectacle. She was not a story meant to go viral. She was a human being. Her murder changed how platforms respond to violent content, how people discuss online obsession, and how we think about digital ethics. And if there is meaning to be taken from this tragedy, it is this: boundaries matter. Online actions have real-world consequences, and empathy must come before curiosity. This was the murder of Bianca Devins. If you want more responsible, in-depth true crime stories that focus on understanding, not exploitation, subscribe to Mystery Grid. Because every story is a puzzle, and some puzzles demand care, not spectacle.